Hi, welcome to Andrew Buckle book review of Blondie The Bumstead Family History. Now this book came out in 2007, it is 192 pages and it's from Thomas Nelson. And wow, what a fascinating book. You see there, it's by Dean Young and Milena Rysick. And you've got the details there, you can see the ISBN number. Make that out hopefully. And here's the actual book. Really nice quality book, absolutely substantial book, in colour and black and white all the way through. Some very odd decisions about, I guess, because of what was available or not. What's colour, what's black and white, but still an absolutely fascinating book. Now, I have to say, I've never read that much of Blondie over the years. It's not particularly a comic strip or newspaper strip that's readily available in the UK, so not particularly familiar with all the characters, but still, I thoroughly enjoyed looking through these. Now, I bought this one secondhand. Thoroughly lovely set of characters. I love the dog. The dog's great. In fact, they're all great. Now, I was expecting a lot more of the early history, but there is a little section on that, which is very nice. But it's right sort of like in the middle of the book, not at the start, which you would expect, but it's right at the sort of middle. And you've got here the family album. And it goes through all the various things. Also goes about obviously talking about when they're at work, eating, entertainment, all those sort of things. And you've got lots of fine examples all the way through. And I must have, it's just brilliant when he just gets up, goes off and does various things. Lots of things I'm thinking, I can understand that. But again, lots of black and white ones as well, which I think's really nice touch. Really nice to see the quality of the line when you see it in black and white. Now, of course, those cow strip hairs, I think that's what they're called. You've got that sort of very unusual style of hair. Of course, there's great pictures later on that showing if he was slightly different, of course, the character would be totally unrecognised. But that's the same with lots of characters. It's like with Blondie, I suppose everyone would say, oh, well, there's a certain identifiable look that, well, it's nice that they mention in this book that Blondie is the straight woman in this, and obviously he's the comedy all the way through, but it's just great. They work amazingly well, and I just love scenes like when he's in the car and with the kids, and he's sort of like, he will not just. Now sometimes some of these strips, and I don't know why, I suppose these ones probably the Sunday ones, I'm guessing, I don't know, I assume that, and these are obviously I assume maybe the daily ones. Again, I'm not certain. Just not so something, but it's got here talking about all the various characters. So you've got like Alexander, so you've got a section about him, gives obviously some details, obviously gives details about Blondie as well. Now, unfortunately, there's no index at the front actually giving her sort of where these are in the book. So here's Daisy, obviously the dog, absolutely great. I love dogs. Dogs are great characters. And also you've got Mr. Dithers, and I'm just going to go there. You've got Mr. Dithers, and then when you go to actually that section, you've got obviously a lot of the stories. You obviously go in there, you've got everyone falling asleep. That's a bit like me sometimes at work. And also, what happened there? Also, the Woodleys, you've got the neighbours. So it's a really nice sort of breakdown showing, giving every character in the story a bit of a sort of, an importance. So it's not just like one character or a couple of characters. They go through, like Elmo as well. Again, another section at the back. There in the middle. Now, this is the section that I mentioned where it's the early bit. It's really odd. Chapter 2. That's where they actually, and they don't actually mention it's the early bit. So you've got to hear how they all come together. Obviously, Chick Young there, so Blondie creator, and apparently also was already a successful cartoonist. Now, it doesn't actually say, Dumb Dora. Would have been nice to have actually had a few examples from that as well, because I don't know, they're not particularly, obviously, that readily available. The Dumb Dora ones, maybe there. I can't see any of those. But it would have been nice, just maybe a few pictures, a few examples, because I'm not familiar with that one. But you've got there the early ones. Now, this is when Dagwood first introduced Blondie to his father. Now, I don't know if that's the first one. It's possible. Maybe there were some stories before that. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't say that this was the first one. But it's possible, I guess. That would seem. But also it goes through all the various other people, like Alice and loads of other characters that obviously, because they were obviously avoiding, he wasn't going to get married to her. There was sort of obviously lots of complications. And he actually mentions that, saying that you thought sort of like modern soap operas were complicated. I agree. There's a lot of complexity with the storyline backwards and forwards. But you've got that early artwork, and it's always great to see those early strips. Now, it's very different. But even then, you can see the style of with the hair. You got obviously there. You got in bed there, so you can see there. But it's really it's lovely. But that only lasts about 4 or 5 pages. So if you're worried that it's going to all be that sort of style, because it's not for everyone. But there's not really much material, unless there is, because unfortunately, another thing, it doesn't put the dates to think that would have been nice. Maybe there was an intention for that, that they weren't going to put the dates, but it would have been nice to have, maybe there is a section. I'm stand corrected on that, but I can't see any information about the years. So it would have been nice to sort of say, oh, that's like 2001 or whatever, 1995 or something. So it could be all over the place, how all the story continues. And you've got here like The Office, you've got all the various... But again, I love the fact they include these black and white ones. And in some ways, I prefer the black and white ones. The colour ones are great. And actually, the quality is absolutely superb. I mean, it's really, really super sharp. But I say, very funny for someone who hasn't grown up. Now, of course, I imagine that many people in the US and elsewhere have probably grown up with the character, but I haven't. So a lot of these ones are just great to see. And they're actually all new to me, absolutely new to me. And I found them very genuinely lovely, lovely stories. And you can see the artwork change. Oh, I say that there's not old ones, and these are all obviously King features. But you can see that one. That says 19. That doesn't look like that says 19. Looks like 1994. There's one there, 19. I thought that must be 1944. Don't know. It's possible. But there's another one here, 520. So there's obviously codes that are in here. But it would have been nice to, and obviously you can see another code there, 1026. And you've got here Young and Drake, 310, and so on. So I'm not certain what the codes mean, 115. But it's unfortunate. I can't work out the years. And I when it comes to comic books, obviously if you've got Fantastic Four, all those sort of things, you can work out a general sort of like, oh, that's 1970s, 1980s, all those sort of style. But I just can't work it out. But it's 70 years, and I love the 75th anniversary as well. That's just really nice. And also all the variations of the Hagar the Horrible, and also, and again, some of the ones I'm not familiar with. Zitz. Never read any of Zitz. Marvin. Never read any Marvin. Curtis. Baby Blues. Buckles. Oh, strange enough. I must check out for that one. Obviously, great. Okay, maybe not. I don't know where that was. Buckles. Oh, bucklescomic.com. Wow. That is a website I must go and check. I learned something. Wow. Okay. And then you got Forever Young there, obviously the way things obviously change, different storylines, and also obviously they're Chick Young. And also you got Stan Drake. Oh, Stan Drake. Wow. And Dean Young as well. The picture there of Dean Young. But what a lovely book this is. I mean, if you're a fan of Blondie, and even if you're not a fan of Blondie, I'm quite certain this is a lovely set of beautiful newspaper strips, comic strips to look at. No, I don't know if there was ever... There were comics. There were Blondie comics. But I haven't got a single issue of a Blondie comic. Someone's going to please put in the comments whether... Obviously, they were Blondie comics. I'm certain they were. I say I haven't got any. But still, this is a great book. But it's a pity that there's not more sort of like details and information about all the various strips. I would have loved that. Maybe about 5 or 10 pages at the back, sort of reference guide to all the different years, how many like the issues that came out each month, whatever. That sort of thing would have been really nice. And also a breakdown of the ones that are actually included in this book. Unfortunately, there's no details, so I don't know. But that's just me being probably pretty nerdy about worrying about those sort of things. But this is a lovely volume, Blondie The Bumstead Family History. A really, really nice book.